Welcome to Cindy's Creative Inspirations. Hi, I'm Cindy Echtenaugh, owner and designer at StampingScrapping.com. Today I'm going to be showing you many things that you can create using Tim Holtz Distress Reinkers. We're going to be creating our own custom stamp pads, fun backgrounds, sprays, and learning how to use the reinkers with both the fine and the broad water brushes from Tim Holtz. So let's get started. The first thing I'd like to share with you is how to make your own custom stamp pad so that you can create a card like this with all of the different colors, only using one stamp that will re-ink up to 50 times. The first thing is the cut and dry foam that comes in a package like this, and it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet. It has foam on the back and canvas on the front. So you're going to cut a piece that's going to fit the stamp that you want to create your own custom stamp pad. So the first thing that you need in this technique is an archival ink jet black pad, and this is essential in making this work because otherwise the inks just are not waterproof and won't work to make the stamp pad correctly. I am using the bird from this shabby French stamp set from Tim Holtz. And then the three colors that I'm using are actually Worn Lipstick, Seedless Preserves, and Festive Berries. Now, you want to take your stamp pad and you want to ink up your image very, very well. And then you're going to press into the canvas part of this cut and dry stamp pad felt. Using some good pressure, when you pull off, you will see the image of your bird. So now what we want to do is take the three reinkers. Now remember that Distress is water-based, but that these reinkers are actually the most concentrated form of Distress. And then we're just going to color some portions on this bird. Now you don't have to be neat about it, you just take the reinker and just color. And I'm going to just use these three colors just for the fun. And I'm going to use the Seedless Preserves next. You don't have to worry about going over the other color because it won't transfer into it. And I'm going to make his beak Seedless Preserves. And then with the Worn Lipstick, I'm going to do the rest of his head and his feet. Now we're going to stamp it on three different mediums so you can see. We're going to stamp it on cork, we're going to stamp it on canvas, and we're also going to stamp it on a tag. And I'll start by using the tag. So now if you weren't using a clear block or you couldn't see, obviously you would want to cut the shape of your foam out to match your stamp. But since we can see exactly where this is, we're just going to line it up and we're going to press into our pad, making sure to ink up our stamp well. And then we are going to stamp it directly onto the tag. And you get this very pretty, colorful image here. Now let's do it onto the cork. And here is the same image stamped on cork. And now on canvas. And that is our image on canvas. So that is how you make your own custom stamp pad. For this card here, I actually used the butterflies from the Papillion set, and this is the stamp pad, which it looks like all the colors run together, but I have used it probably 30 times, and I just stamped this one right before the video so you could see still how vibrant it is, and that is this one here. And you'll notice that I am storing these in a Ziploc airtight container. So when you're done creating your custom stamp pad, make sure that you stick that in your airtight container. And I actually even stamp on the back side so I know which stamp it is. I stamp directly onto the foam with my archival ink as well. This is my alcohol ink palette. And what I've done is use 2 drops of each re-inker color, alphabetical, into the Tim Holtz palette. Now, one of the important things to remember is you don't want to tip this palette because unlike alcohol inks, the distress inks never dry. And then what I've done is taken my stamp pads and I've actually created a 2-inch circle and stamped that into the top so I know which color is in which spot here. And I also do that on my stamp pads as well. I put the name and then I have a circle, and I also do it on my distress stains. I also have a 1-inch circle, so I always know what each name of each item is and have the coordinating colors. So for this background, I'm going to show you how to do this card here. And we're going to do a color wash. And this time we're going to use Forest Moss, Dusty Concord, and Broken China. Now, I could just drop the color right out from the re-inker onto my nonstick craft sheet, but I'm going to actually grab the color using the water brush from the palette. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the Dusty Concord to begin with, and I'm going to just lay it on my palette here, and I'm going to squeeze the water brush and release some water. So I create my wash. You're just going to wash across this. And that's using the wide brush. Now, because I don't have time to really dry it, I'm going to just dab it with paper towel. And I'm going to move on to my next color, which is going to be Broken China. Now you just squeeze the water brush and release some water to clean out the actual bristles of the brush. And this time I want to use Broken China, so I'm going to grab some of the Broken China here out of my palette, lay it down onto my craft sheet, a little bit of water by squeezing the brush, and then I'm going to do the same wash here. Of course, adding more water is going to dilute it, and using less water is going to make it more vibrant. So there's my second color. Now I want to use Forest Moss as my last color. Again, we're going to squeeze just a little bit of water, and I'm going to grab some Forest Moss, place it on my craft sheet. Okay, so now on my tag you see that I have used this stamp from Attic Treasures. Now to save time, I've already stamped that, and I actually did it again in cork, in canvas, and onto cardstock. So I'm going to attach the piece of cardstock to the front of my card. Using the archival ink again in jet black, I'm going to stamp directly over both my stamped image and my watercolor background. And it looks like that. Now, one of the other fun techniques, and I didn't really say I was going to share this with you, but I do want to show you how to do it, and it's using the Picket Fence Distress Stain direct onto a stamp. And again, this one's from Papillion. And I'm just going to wash over this stamp, and I'm actually going to stamp it right up here on the top of my tag. And then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to stamp down here as an accent. Now you can let that dry, and it kind of creates a bleach effect or you can dry it with a heat gun. And it just gives, like I said, a bleached effect. A lot of fun with picket fence. So now let me show you a few other things that I have done. This, again, I used broken china and I washed the back of this. Then I stamped with the archival ink, and I actually at this point used the fine tip of this into my alcohol ink palette and colored each of the individual butterflies to create this effect. For my last project I'd like to show you is this card. And this is using the Tim Holtz Attic Treasure stamp set, impressing the stamp into Fimo clay. And I've done the 3 butterfly stamp that we used just a minute ago here with the picket fence in here. And then I used the dress form. And then down here I actually used the tape measure. Heated that, baked it in the oven at 275, and I was able to just pick out the colors that I wanted here and then just use the color, a little bit of water, and actually color right into the impression. So that's how I created this card here. A mini mister and 1 full dropper of your distress ink. Place that in here and then fill it up to about 3/4 of the way with water. Shake it, and then you actually end up with a beautiful mist. Now this one is using seedless preserves, or dusty concord, excuse me. And there is how the background looks. Now of course you can let it dry, you can stamp into it, you can texture it with a paper towel, but that's how you create custom sprays with your distress reinkers. So I hope I've inspired you to get creating, to grab some reinkers. You can do some really neat techniques using the reinkers, a palette, the water brushes, and happy creating. Thanks for watching. All of the items in this video can be found on stampingscrapping.com.